Well, hello, NAPNAP members. I am so delighted to come to you tonight with the legendary Patsy Stinchfield. In case you don't know Patsy, she is an infectious disease and immunology guru. She knows everything about vaccines and is a self-referred vaccine geek, which we are very appreciative of here at NAPNAP. And her day job and night job and afternoon job currently is as the senior director of infection control and the incident commander at Children's Hospital Minnesota. And you had a big day today, Patsy, at the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, the ACIP. So this is all coming hot off the press. We cannot wait to hear what you're going to say. So why don't you just start off telling us a little bit about the ACIP, who was there today, who are the players, what's the game, and what is your role in all of this?
Yeah, it really was an exciting and historic day. It was leading up to it. It was like the top story on the news all week. And then today, after our vote, it was the very first top story. So today, the ACIP decided and voted on who will be the first recipients of the COVID-19 vaccine. So we've been talking about this since March and looking at different phases, different groupings of people, and it's based really on three things: looking at the science, so who gets COVID worse, looking at the ethics, a lot of emphasis on health equity and making sure that we leave nobody behind. It's not about rich states and poor states, it's about all states. And then also implementation factors. So those three kind of points of the triangle are every decision along the way since March, we're applying that paradigm. So today was the final looking at really the biggest debate was in category 1A, the first group, no doubt about healthcare workers, that people who work in hospitals, clinics, pharmacies, EMS, public health, long-term care facilities, those folks will be first. The debate was about whether residents of long-term care facilities should be included. It was a vote that passed 13-1. And I think the one person is a geriatric vaccine researcher, and she was just concerned about, we don't have a lot of data on what these mRNA new types of vaccines, Pfizer and Moderna vaccine, will do to someone who is in their older years in a long-term care facility. But on balance, the group felt like this is the population who is dying at very high rates. And this is the population that we have to make sure that we protect. And if you're going into the long-term care facility to immunize their staff and you're already there, practically that implementation piece, you might as well do the residents as well. So that did pass today.
And you were there to see history happen, which is just so exciting.
Yeah, so I owe it all to NAPNAP because, this is an advisory committee of people who spend their lives in infectious disease, vaccine research, academia, some clinicians, but not as many in a clinical setting like a children's hospital where I work. But in 2004 to 2008, I was able to be the first nurse in the United States to actually be a voting member. That inner table, they call it, is 15. Yay, yes, I know, is 15 voting members. And they represent, there's physicians, there's a nurse. Actually, the nurse that was on today is a public health nurse from Minnesota Department of Health here, a person I know very well, very smart woman on vaccine administration and distribution. Physicians, and there's a public member. So those 15 voting members advise the CDC. Then there's these 30 liaison members, and NAPNAP is one of the liaison members. So after that 04 to 08, I guess I did an okay job because they created this position for NAPNAP liaison, and I've been able to be a voice at ACIP since then. And other organizations are American Nurses Association, nurse midwives are there, and then a physician assistant group, and then a lot of our, groups you would know, the American Academy of Pediatrics, Infectious Disease Society of America. So it's really great that we are at the table.
It is so exciting, Patsy. Those are two of my favorite words, favorite two words put together in the English language. First nurse. I love it. Anytime anybody says first nurse, I mean, that
Yeah,
is really just a truly tremendous accomplishment. Now, a lot of people think today you voted on the vaccine, but that's not the case. That's in the hands
right.
of the FDA for the emergency use authorization. Do you want to say anything to add any clarity to that?
Yeah, so the manufacturers applied for this emergency use authorization. So Pfizer was first in, and then the 30th of November, Moderna submitted theirs. So FDA has their mountains of data that they're going over now, and then December 10th will be another independent advisory group called VRPAC. People like Paul Offit and others who have been vaccine researchers, vaccine communicators, are on that, a very esteemed group of people. They will look at it, and then if they pass it, they will advise FDA to go ahead and approve it. Then it comes to ACIP. Now, normally, our next meeting is in a quarter, so we'll send it to them and they'll get it in 3 months, and then we'll look at it. You just sort of take your time on a calendar. We might be meeting the day after they meet. We don't know, but they said, December 10th is when VRPAC meets, and we will meet very shortly thereafter. Then the manufacturers have already, been making the vaccine and getting them out into different corners of the United States. We could have in our hospitals as early as December 14th vaccine to give to our healthcare workers. You believe that?
What? No, actually, no, I can't.
Yeah,
That is just because it seems like, COVID started in March, and I
right.
have memory of talking to the incoming president of AANP. She and I were in a cab together in the beginning of March in Austin, and she said, "Oh, what are you doing about COVID?" And I was like, "COVID, what?" And then now it's taken over our life. It seems like such a way of life, and to think we could already have a vaccine that's truly
Right.
effective.
Yeah.
So what kind of update can we expect from you next, Patsy?
Yeah, well, I just want to say about that some people, that makes them nervous that it's going to be going so fast. And did we cut any corners? And I really want to assure all of the NAPNAP members that I have high confidence. I've been looking at the data as it's been coming along. We've had interim data. We haven't seen final data. There's been final data in the press releases, as we've seen, with really high efficacy of 94, 95% for both of the leading products. The reason it's going so fast is enormous investment from the American taxpayers. So it is unprecedented, the amount of money that's going into this. And so it's a financial risk. It's not a safety risk. And so these are large trials. There's 40,000 people. Half of them are placebo, half of the vaccine. So they're well done. They're through phase 3. What we don't have is long-term follow-up of people, but we don't have the luxury of studying people for 2 years. We cannot wait 2 years. What we've done is follow these individuals since the beginning of their trial, and not a single person has been admitted to the hospital because of the vaccine. None of them have had serious side effects or anything that's been debilitating. There is a second dose to both of these products, and reportedly after the second dose, you feel kind of crummy. You've got the arm soreness, the body aches, the fatigue, and we've got to tell people what that is. It's your immune response. It's the normal, what you expect. And so we are so good as nurse practitioners on anticipatory guidance. We've got to tell people as we're vaccinating them what to expect, provide them written information. And when it happens, they'll be like, yes, my immune system sees it, it's working, and they'll see it as a positive. So our next steps are really, we feel like this is such a big step forward today. It is the pathway out of this pandemic, in addition to all of our usual wearing the mask and washing our hands. Those social mitigation kinds of things are not going to go away anytime soon. But next step will be to get these 2 vaccines approved, roll them out to hospitals. Each state will have its own local plan, and then start vaccinating small amounts of healthcare workers, and then being able to roll it out to Category 1B, which will be firefighters, teachers, police, food service workers. And then 1C is older Americans, people with high-risk conditions, obesity, et cetera. So children will be last, probably not until spring or summer. We only have since September have children been in the trials for the Pfizer product. So there's just not enough data yet on kids, but there will be children and pregnant women. We keep asking for that, and there will be trials, but our patients won't really be getting it until later in 2021.
All such incredible information, and you were right there on the ground. So if our members out there are reading the news, the New York Times, CNN, all of these things, they heard it straight from the horse's mouth right here. You were there on the ground, and we appreciate that so much. And what I'm hearing you say is this is so exciting, because when we have a vaccine, the ACIP has made sure to say that healthcare workers will be first, and you have no hesitation in telling our members, get the vaccine.
Right, right. And this will be reviewed in detail, and I'd love to come back and talk to you after we see the actual phase 3 final trial data. Happy to come back and tell you about that. But from what I've seen so far, it's really exciting.
Well, we'll definitely have you back. I think I'll get in trouble with our members if we don't. And, Patsy, here at NAPNAP, we are experts in pediatrics and advocates for children. And I can think of no person who has embodied that more during this pandemic, especially than you have. So thank you so much for your continued representation. And we'll see you really soon.
Great. Thanks so much for having me. Be safe, everybody. Be strong. We'll get out of this.
We'll do it. That's right. We'll do it together, stronger together. Thanks, Patsy.
Bye-bye.